Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.
Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Dr. Aruna Sharma, former Steel Secretary, joining in. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sharma. My first question coming to you. The last time we spoke was almost around 4 5 months ago. To now, how do you think the situation has changed, for the sector overall?
I will say the situation has become much more optimistic than what we talked last time.
Hmm.
Because if you look at it, even during the lockdown and pandemic, the production was 62% they were functioning, which is very good. So it sort of helped them to keep their heart burning. You know, they were at least able to meet out their basic expenses and carry out and everything. But if you look at it from the straight away, if you move to the second quarter onwards, it started showing a positive swing. And then it continued in the third quarter and fourth quarter. The results are yet to be out, but you are going to get very, very positive results. The reason behind it is that in this entire episode, the budget has given a boost to infrastructure funds. So you have nearly 5.6 lakh crores of rupees, which are said to be earmarked for the infrastructure. So that boost the consumption is going up. And if you look at it similarly, the production is reaching to its capacity levels. So the plants are working now at least between ranging from 75 to 85, 90% capacity, which is fantastic. So this kind of a run is happening. And then everybody is talking about the expansion plan.
Hmm.
So like if you look at whether they are secondary producers, whether they are primary producers, everybody has a plan to expand. So in the sense, it's a positive thing, and the finances have shown a V curve. So I think the scenario is quite good.
Absolutely. So, if you could just make us understand from here on, we are seeing that there is going to be a demand built up, taking into consideration the infrastructure spend that the government is planning, the expansion plans that the companies have to meet this kind of demand. But do you think something like this is going to be sustainable for the next 18 to 24 months from here on? Or do you think this is just going to be pent up demand because we've lost a lot in the last probably 12 months?
Not at all, not at all. It will be a continued demand for three reasons. One thing is, like I mentioned before, this expenditure earmarked in the infrastructure, and India is low in infrastructure, so continued demand of steel is going to be there. And here I will also like to make a mention about the stainless steel part of it, where we are also number two in the world. And stainless steel demand is bound to increase in the coming days. Like we expect that stainless steel should increase at the same pace at 6% to 7% in demand, being non-corrosive or not having an impact, and all your wastage of water is protected. So I think any infrastructure plan which is talking about the waterways have to think about the stainless steel in the supply end, at least, you know, that is very, very important. So these, one is infrastructure for both steel and stainless steel. Another one is, if you look at it, the policies are also coming out very, very crystal clear about the issue. The confusions are not there. There may be some irritant points. You see, the Mining Act amendment has come. It has resolved some of the issues, not all, but some of the issues very, very well. So, in at least the operational issues are taken care of, where transfer of lease does not require immediate environment clearance. So, 2 years gap is not there. So, supply of raw material will continue. Similarly, on the imports and the use of coal, that indigenous coal has taken care of. Then everybody is talking about the alternate methods of hydrogen gas, or as a fuel, or maybe going for syngas as a fuel. So in the sense, when people are talking long term, it is not, definitely not a pent up demand which we are doing here.
Hmm.
And we have not reached the limit. See, today, if you look at it, we are at again 80 kgs per capita, 72, 80 kgs per capita. The potential is to reach 160 kg per capita. So, in the sense, like if India has to have its growth story, In that, steel is the foundation, right?
Right.
Where if the demand of steel goes, means your growth is happening, your infra is happening, your infrastructure is growing, and therefore your production is growing. So, in the sense, it is not something which is going to be a small term annual phenomena. It is going to be at least 2030. And in fact, my hunch is India may be the first country to break this thing of cyclical. Because for the simple reason, we being a low infrastructure country.
Hmm.
So, and we have recognized that fact, and the government has agreed in principle to spend more and more on infrastructure because that's where the key lies for the growth. So, any disruption there is the only way where it may hurt. Otherwise, I don't see that we will be also hit. The second after infrastructure is automobile. The automobile demand is also going up, and India, all automobile manufacturers are thinking to create components here even for the export markets. So that is the second sector which will be a major absorber of your steel produce. The third absorber, like I mentioned, is the stainless steel again, in where you have pipelines for waters, non-corrosive. You want alloys which are to be used. You want rebars for longer life. So that market is also going to be a long term as we are moving ahead into this. Then what is most important, the fourth market is in the export also. See, we have tasted export market and we have proven ourselves during lockdown. The companies survived because the India was under lockdown and they exported whatever they were producing. Being essential commodities, their production was going on at a low scale. But whatever they had in stock or they had in produce, they were able to enter into the export market. So with these four scenarios being there, I don't see any way where it is going to be short term. Not at all. Not at all. In
Right.
fact, at least till 2030, I don't see a slump.
Right. So, taking this demand into consideration, another aspect with regards to this sector is that they enjoyed a prolonged period of high prices in the last 6 months. Yes, there was a recovery in the domestic market, and international prices were also pretty high. But now, if you go to see, steel prices have started to normalize in that 45 to 48,000 per ton kind of a bracket. Do you think we will see further declines because it had reached 58,000, per ton? Do you think we will see a further decline, or do you think this is going to be the normal range now?
You have flagged a very, very important question because the spike, it enabled them to recover what they lost in the first quarter. Frankly speaking, their balance sheets improved. And there were concerns by the infrastructure sector because their cost of execution was going up. So you had political leaders making very, very blunt statements and concerns expressing very openly about this spike in the steel prices. But their protection was internationally the prices were going up, and domestic prices were much less than the international price. So, in the sense, import was not the solution for the India consumers. So those prices went, and very rightly now they have plateaued down. They have plateaued down, and they have reached 48,000. At the most, it may come down to 45,000. I don't see any sudden slump. And this adjustment will also happen in case the iron ore prices come down. Like our coking coal, because coking coal prices are going up, it has not come down.
Hmm.
So coking coal price is coming down, iron ore is stabilizing. So with these two factors, and I don't see anything major change happening in the power sector or your credit finance being available cheap. So I think we will settle down at 45,000 or so, unless until there is a snoop dive in the international prices, which I don't see. Which I don't see. So yeah, it will plateau down between 45 to 48,000.
Absolutely, yeah, because what's happened in India as well, I think the mines have started production, in terms of pellets as well. So clearly, that's giving a breathing space to steel makers as well with regards to where steel prices are concerned. Now, from here on, if you go to see, clearly, there was a mismatch in terms of demand and supply because smaller and medium-sized steel production mills could not function due to unavailability, say, of the feedstock. From here on, how are you seeing that situation go on? Do you think that demand supply mismatch is getting resolved?
Very, very correct. That is my major concern on the mining policy. Because if we have gone on the revenue maximization route and resorted to auction, the big steel makers who have bid for it, they are not for mining. See, we have to understand it very clearly. They are securing their raw material so that they will get an advantage of this fluctuation in the iron ore prices. So they will get that advantage into their end products. So they are not so much going to be sort of balancing out the supply of iron ore in the market, right? So it has to be regular miners which are going to come into it. I have always been advocating that maximization of revenue should not be the objective. The objective has to be ensuring a regular supply of the iron ore. Now, many of these big bidders are thinking of creating a niche for a regular supply of iron ore to these small manufacturers, as in terms of smaller size of lumps, in terms of the dust to the pellet makers, and that is going to have its impact as it is going to move ahead with it. But then the gap remains. The gap remains, and it's a matter of great concern when we are talking about it. And this matter of great concern, if you look at it, 51% of steel production comes from this secondary sector. So there has to be a regular flow of iron ore material to them or scrap to them, whatever may be their origin. Now, I'm very happy now that finally the scrap policy has seen the light of the day and it has come. So, in the sense, we are going to have more and more indigenous scrap. The fluctuating policy on the import duty on the scrap needs to be again a matter of concern, and we need a consistency on that. The formula has to be consistent. The formula has to be that okay, you have lesser import duty as long as you don't are not able to create enough scrap in India. So the scrap production goes up in India and the import duty starts going up. Right. So these has to be like the parallel graphs when we are moving. So this has to come. Similarly, in stainless steel, that removing the duty, if you look at it, the flats, the import of flats have gone up by 20. It is now taking 24% of the flats used in stainless steel.
Hmm.
Now look at that. Now we have a capacity to produce. So this kind of doing away with the duty is adversely affecting us. So in the sense, if you look at this sector, it is very important to have a consistent, logical import any duty policy, right? And it is very important that how we go about it. And similarly, we have to have a mechanism for a regular supply of the iron ore and scrap to the secondary producers, what you call them. And this regular supply can come up through allocation to the consortium because it is difficult. See, mining is a profession in itself. You can't expect these the people at the consortium, they can guarantee buyback. But some professional will have to run the mine, somebody who understands mining. So that is very, very important. And that should come up. But one good thing in the mining policy that has come up that nobody can underproduce, which was a problem that to control the market, even if they have a lease, they used to underproduce. So now there is going to be an adverse penalty on it. So we expect a regular flow of iron ore in the market. And with Donamalai open up, the PSU will again become active. So I think this problem will get resolved. We should not worry much on this demand and supply because they also have started enhancing their production.
Right. And then with this, so is it right to say that the coming few months will be really critical for the sector and for the economy? Because clearly an imbalanced steel market could have the potential to arrest, India's growth, because it would actually impact the downstream industries which are associated with steel.
See, I'll put it this way. These are the months where we have to be quick response to the irritants in the policy, right? I put it that way. So it will not be disturbing at all if there is a quick response mechanism to what is happening. Like I mentioned on stainless steel, there is a need to have a complete relook what has come through the budget. It will resolve that problem. Similarly, if we ensure through the public sector miners that you have to ensure a stream of supply to these secondary sector people, that then the private sector will also also sort of fall in the line. So the solution is not something very difficult which is going to upset it. And what imbalance you're talking about is that the BIS now becoming more strong, the secondary sector has got a huge portion or slice in the market because their cost of production being low, and if they are able to produce the standard ones, their realization is going to be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So that is an up thing, and these two answers are there in a policy, and it does not require much tweaking. And these corrections, I think, it will give a big boost. There should not be a problem, no problem at all.
Right. So overall, from here on, if you have to look at the economy, how do you see it progressing? Because earlier the projections were a negative growth in the fourth quarter. Then we've improved to probably say lower single digit next, so there is progression that's happening. But now that we are seeing a second wave of COVID that's hitting us, do you think things could come to a standstill? Or if things, could continue the way they are right now?
See, I think we have learned the lesson that lockdown did not give us any relief. The number of cases continued spiking up. So, in the sense, now a complete lockdown will happen only the situation becomes unmanageable or something which is beyond control. Then somebody may reach to that level. Because it will have a very, very bad effect. Because with great difficulty, this K curve or V curve, whatever we may argue upon, has started happening. At least in the manufacturing sector, slowly things have started coming up. The market is getting created. The money is coming. The infrastructure laborers are coming back to work in the infrastructure areas. Now, if this gets disrupted, definitely this time the hit will be much more. Because you had a hit, you have tried to overcome it, and then again, if you have a hit, that will be very, very difficult to and unsurmountable. So, keeping fingers crossed, hoping that the fatality of the new wave being less, and one can sail through by precautions and treatments. And even the medical wing has got now, they are not so inexperienced, they know how to handle the cases. So, and they know exactly what to do. Like initially, they started with pulmonary, and then they realized it has to be a blood thinner kind of a treatment. So now I think we are better geared to handle the situation. But yes, in case it becomes unsurmountable and it results in lockdown, the hit is going to be terrible. As far as the recovery of the economy is concerned, what you mentioned, economy recovery is we are reaching not something to celebrate as yet, because we are reaching a level what we were in March 19. And March 19 level of the economy is also with maybe the 7 to 8 quarters slide, right? So in the sense, there is still a lot of hard work to go into it. But and that hard work will only put the economy when we reach and stabilize at 7 to 8% growth, right? So that is a must for a country like India. I mean, anything less than that is something need to be introspected and correction. But I'll say, as far as the steel sector is concerned, if infrastructure work goes on, there is not much to worry upon, because this spike, if it happens internationally, like people say it's happening in European Union again, and then there are matters and there are islands of worry coming everywhere, then yes, in the sense this upward graph may slide down, but will not nosedive.
Right.
This I'll say, yeah.
Right. And very lastly, Dr. Sharma, with this growth, how important is it to look at inflation? Because clearly, if you see the inflation chart, it is increasing. From a 4.06% in January, we moved to almost a 5.03% in the month of February. Now, do you think this rising inflation will disrupt in the economic recovery that we are seeing and hamper growth? Or do you think that's something that the government really needs to put aside?
See, the inflation is going to have a negative impact. Let me be very clear, because a common man is double hit. Like this debate about V curve or K curve is more because service sector has not recovered at all. If you look at it, that sector is still struggling to reach to the levels where it has to. And unfortunately, in India, the maximum employment has been in service sector, vis-a-vis than in the manufacturing sector. So now, of course, the government has been talking loud of focus on the manufacturing sector so that you give a more sustainable, stable employments.
Hmm.
The silver lining is that agriculture has been doing well, and even this crop production, it will do well. So that is a silver lining, that at least there will be some money in the hands of people, so that the market will continue to go. But this inflation is not something which can be kept aside. It is a matter of worry, because the kind of increase that is happening is going to be like a double whammy to the people who have lost their jobs, a cut in their salary, and no hopes of going back to their jobs again in a shorter time. The fallback is maybe if they have some agriculture income is a fallback for them. But with this kind of a scenario, it requires that this inflation needs to be checked and not allowing it to go out of proportion, because it is not going to work as the economic theory that inflation rise is good for the economy. No, not when you have to feed 1 billion population and take care of them and you have to stabilize. Like I never endorse that theory. I don't endorse that theory.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, so much for joining us on the show. Pleasure speaking to you as always. Hoping to speak to you soon again and hope things improve from here on. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you, and same to you. You also
Thank,
take care.
thank you.
Thank you.